Nah, this is like a boxing hell. We don't get no news, no talk, no nothing.
Lil Durk been saying prison feels like hell, but word on the block is it just got way worse. Reports claim the ops finally caught him slipping and jumped him behind bars, and the whispers say it all ties back to Lowell P's death, turning the tension in that cell block into pure chaos. Now picture this. Locked up.
Everybody's already, they gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Dirk probably the only one that can walk away. If, you know what I'm saying, they really no, he had nothing to do with that, y'all going off of iCloud and this and that and this and that and ruh. He could have, they do have a text message of him saying, oh, don't put no flights on that. It could have been for a show. It could have been for anything. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it's they don't really have on Dirk. But he was the man with money.
Right.
That's how I look at it. He was the man with money, so we just gonna put it on.
No way out, and stuck in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles, where platinum plaques don't mean a thing, and millions in the bank can't buy you respect. When Durk got shipped over to this federal joint after his arrest, he didn't just enter prison life, he stepped straight into a battlefield where every move can decide if you walk out alive or not. See, this ain't county where you might bump into some cats you grew up with. This is federal territory where they cage the wolves from every corner of America and trust everybody's running their own hustle. Respect comes at a high price, and fear keeps most folks breathing. Durk's got to learn those unspoken rules quick, or risk becoming a headline inside the walls. To make it worse, judges keep slamming the door on his bail requests. They label him a flight risk because of his overseas trips and claim he's already breaking jail rules. Every denial just makes it clear. They think if Durk's out, he'll either dip or cause bigger problems in the streets. And here's the real kicker. The mix of gangs and rivalries inside MDLA is like gasoline waiting for a spark. Durk's ties to the Black Disciples, one of Chicago's most feared street crews, paint a big target on his back.
But it's that's a murder for hire with a murder, because I did my homework on it. It's if they catch you and it was you attempted to do murder for hire and nobody got hurt, it's 10 years. If somebody got hurt, it's 20, 25 years. If somebody got murdered, it's life. So somebody died. It's that's his stipulations. His stipulations already started life.
There are dudes locked in there who got beef with Chicago, beef with BDS, or just looking to make their name ring bells by checking a superstar BD. In a place like this, fame don't protect you. It makes you pray. The first nightmare keeping Durk wide awake at night? Running headfirst into some GDS? The Gangster Disciples and the Black Disciples, the crew Durk is tied to, got a rivalry older than most of the cats locked up right now. That war didn't start yesterday, and it sure as hell don't stop just because the walls got bars. If anything, prison makes that hatred cook even hotter, with nowhere to run and way too much time to plot payback. And it gets even darker. An FBI affidavit out there straight up accuses Durk of putting money on GDS heads. The paperwork claims he offered cash for the January 2022 killing of Stefan Mack, a suspected Ville GD boss who got dropped right after walking out of a youth center in Chicago. If that's true, then Durk ain't just dodging the regular BD versus GD drama. He's trapped in a cage with dudes who got a personal reason to want him gone forever. But the danger don't stop with the GDS. Inmates linked to Quando Rondo's camp or their wider network might treat Durk like the ultimate trophy. And why? Because this ain't some quiet hood beef swept under the rug. This so-called murder-for-hire plot made national headlines, plastered across every hip-hop blog and YouTube page. Now even random inmates who never cared about Quando Rondo know the story, and they might see Durk as the ultimate high-value target to make a name for themselves. And then comes the deadliest rumor of all, the snitch factor. Word is, some of Durk's own people flipped on him, and inside prison, that's the kiss of death.
He wasn't till Von came around. He was singing, hanging out with Dej Life. Here's the thing I want.
I don't know
what you
about
said
that.
earlier. I disagreed with when you said, the Fed's been trying to get Durk for ages. I disagree. Lil Durk had a couple little gun cases here and there. It was only when
the King Von situation.
It was only when Von came around.
Once the label snitch gets whispered in the yard, respect evaporates and predators circle like shark-smelling blood. In that environment, even a superstar like Durk can't buy loyalty. He's got to fight for survival every single day. Social media posts been buzzing that Durk's own downfall might have started inside his circle. Word is, an OTF member named Jam, fresh out after a 12-year bid, allegedly wore a wire and flipped for the feds. If true, that means the same crew Durk built his empire on is the same crew tearing it down. And in prison, just being tied to a so-called rat can stain your name permanently, making you look weak, compromised, and straight up untrustworthy. and insiders claim Durk might already be paying the price. Rumors online say he's been thrown in solitary at times, supposedly mentioned by one of T.I.'s associates. That kind of isolation ain't just punishment, it's survival strategy when the walls start closing in and whispers spread faster than fire. But here's the twist. Durk's wealth and fame cut both ways. They make him the ultimate prize and at the same time, a major threat. High-profile inmates don't get treated like stars, they get tested. Extortion becomes a daily game, with cats demanding commissary, favors, or straight-up cash just so you can walk the yard in peace. When everybody knows your pockets run deep, every opportunist in the block starts scheming for a bite. And if you fold once, you're marked as easy prey forever. But let's not forget, Durk ain't built soft. His name already been tied to violent plays, and that history makes him dangerous in his own right. The feds know this, and that's why housing him ain't simple.
They was scared of Von, man, and that was their downfall and destruction. Cause him, by signing, bringing him around the whole thing, bro. Some people you can't show the lavish life to.
MDC is packed with every type of hustler, hitter, and schemer from every coast, east, west, midwest, and down south. For Durk, every corner holds an unpredictable threat, and fame only paints a bigger target on his back. Some inmates might vibe with Durk's music. Some straight up hate everything he stands for, and others see him as nothing more than a golden ticket to boost their own reputation. That's the brutal truth about the feds. Your street fame can earn respect, but it can also paint the biggest target on your back, and with Durk, it's even messier. His alleged ties to multiple murders, his connection to one of Chicago's bloodiest neighborhoods, and the whispers that he's got the money to greenlight hits across state lines, all that makes him a name that every set behind those walls is watching. Inside, cats will size you up for three things: protection, opportunity, or revenge. And with Durk, all three are in play at once. From the block to the box, his story reads like a grim saga written in Chicago's savage streets, where blood earns respect and loyalty can cost you your life. Few names from the trenches carry the kind of weight that Lil Durk does. Born Durk Derek Banks in Englewood, raised where survival meant choosing between making it big or getting buried young. He's been walking that razor line his whole life, trying to keep it real while also keeping his freedom. But now, locked down in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles, he's staring at the possibility of losing everything. The whispers say he's already been tested, already been attacked. But the real question is, who's bold enough to try and take down Durk? The fall came fast. October 24th, 2024, Miami International Airport. Durk's allegedly about to board a private jet to Italy when the feds swarm him. No warning, no slow play, just straight mob movie-style takedown. Murder for hire charges, conspiracy talk. It was like watching a rapper's life turn into a crime flick in real time. But to understand how the dominoes fell this way, you gotta rewind back to that cold November night in 2020 when everything first spun out of control. King Von getting gunned down on November 6th, 2020 wasn't just another name added to the drill scene's bloody history, it was the spark that allegedly flipped Durk's whole mindset. That night outside Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, when Von's crew clashed with Quando Rondo's people,
I feel like Von came through with this killer energy, blew up massively, and I think Durk realized like, yo, I need to be more street. We need no auto Durk. We need these more aggressive songs. Trying to sing love songs for the streets and gangsta pain music for the girls type thing weren't really working for him. It's working for Youngboy and Quando, wasn't really working for Durk like that. And I feel like he's seen what happened with Von and he turned the gangster up and
changed everything. For Durk, it wasn't just about losing a rapper, it was about losing family, and from that moment, folks say he moved like a man chasing vengeance. Von wasn't just some artist signed under Durk, he was blood and spirit. Durk always called him twin and baby bro, showing the world how tight their bond really was. Both of them rose up out of O-Block, a place where living another sunrise is a blessing and making it out alive feels like a miracle. That shared grind built loyalty deeper than the music, deeper than the money. It was survival linked by trauma. But here's the twist that most fans never caught. The streets whisper that their relationship had layers people didn't see. On the surface, they looked like brothers. But behind closed doors, some claim it wasn't all smooth. And the truth about that dynamic changes how you see everything that came after Von's death. Before Von came home from his bid, Durk's style leaned heavy on the melodic love song lane, catering to the ladies, chasing that mainstream crossover bag. But when Von touched down, he brought that raw, grimy street aura that rewired Durk's whole image. Suddenly, Durk wasn't just the melodic rapper. He had that drill stamp of approval, that street cosign that made people view him different. Von's presence gave Durk's gangster image a whole new edge. And after Von's death, that edge cut sharper than ever. Durk had the label, the fame, and the money. But Von had the one thing no amount of cash could ever buy. That raw, unshakable street credibility. And truth be told, that stamp of authenticity was so powerful, it even made his own boss look over his shoulder at times. Von was the muscle, the aura, the energy that gave Durk's image a street backbone. So when Von got killed that night in Atlanta, it wasn't just about losing a best friend or a brother, it was about losing the one person who gave Durk's whole persona its edge. The surveillance footage told the story. Von threw the first punch, moving on instinct, playing aggressor in true street fashion, even though he had everything to lose. Seconds later, shots rang out.
And then when Von died, I think Durk not only turned up the gangster a notch in the music, but also in the actual things that he was allegedly part of in the streets.
Quando Rondo's associate, Lil Tim, fired the bullets that left Von bleeding out in front of the world. Then came the moment that sent shockwaves through the culture, when charges against Lil Tim got dropped. That's when, according to investigators, things turned deeply personal for Durk. It wasn't just pain anymore. It was fury. It was revenge. It was transformation. The feds now paint a chilling picture. Von didn't just bless Durk with credibility, he gave him that killer aura that made the music feel dangerous, real, untouchable. But when Von died, all that energy shifted onto Durk's shoulders, and instead of softening him, it allegedly turned him into something darker. Prosecutors say Durk went from being a chart-topping artist to someone who moved like a general, playing a high-stakes game with blood and power on the line. From grieving friend to alleged criminal mastermind,
Durk was embroiled in some eternal, I need you off of this earth beef. That's different.
Because of King Von?
Of course. Not only that, he needed the guys who killed his brother off this earth.
That's the transformation prosecutors are painting for Durk. They claim the entire plot was pure retaliation for King Von's 2020 murder, and that Durk allegedly put a bounty on Quando Rondo's head. The feds say he used OTF resources, not just for muscle, but to bankroll travel, hotels, and everything needed to greenlight the mission. The so-called hit went down August 2022, and it sounded like something ripped from a street movie script. According to court docs, Durk's people allegedly flew across the country, secured the straps, scoped their target, and made their move. At a Los Angeles gas station, the crew pulled up in 2 whips, stalking Rondo before unloading at least 18 shots, including blasts from a fully automatic. Rondo survived, but his cousin Xavier Robinson, better known as Lou Poob, got killed on the spot. What makes this case even messier isn't just the bullets, it's the paper trail left behind. Investigators claim the crew slipped up and left a credit card tied directly to OTF, used to book flights and hotel rooms. And here's the irony. Reports say Durk specifically warned his people, don't book no flights under no names. But his own empire's money flow ended up being the very thing that linked him to the scene. That's the curse of success. Your bread can either protect you or bury you. Prosecutors allege Durk not only offered stacks of cash, but dangled music opportunities through his Only the Family label as payment for 5 associates who took on the job. In the eyes of the feds, that kind of influence makes him look less like a superstar and more like a boss running a violent enterprise with rap money as the bankroll. Durk's money could allegedly move mountains anywhere in the country, but that same money left a trail the feds claim leads straight back to his front door. The 5 men tied to the alleged mission, Cavan London, Grant DeAndre, Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Ashton Houston, weren't random crash dummies pulled from the block. These were Durk's alleged soldiers, handpicked and trusted enough to cross state lines, armed up, and ready to risk it all for their boss.
The fact that Von was gone and he still was running the show in a way is kind of crazy.
Yeah, because the street's still with him. The street still want to get back for Von. They want to get back, and you in the power to be around these dudes, you got the money.
These weren't just hangers-on. They were reportedly loyal enough to squeeze triggers in Durk's name. But here's the brutal twist. The same loyalty that allegedly fueled this whole retaliation plot could now be the very thing that buries them all. Because in the eyes of the law, loyalty to a crew looks a lot like organized crime, and the feds love nothing more than flipping soldiers into witnesses. After Von's death, the streets say Durk felt a heavy weight to prove he wasn't soft, to prove OTF didn't fold under pressure, to prove disrespect gets answered in blood. But in trying to honor his fallen brother, prosecutors allege he walked right into a federal conspiracy web designed to swallow him whole. This is the ugly crossroad where keeping it real transforms into self-destruction. Now, with an October 14th, 2025 trial date creeping closer like death in the shadows, the stakes are higher than ever. The entire game boils down to one deadly question. Is Lil Durk really the apex predator? The boss the streets always believed he was? Or is he about to be remembered as just another casualty who kept it too real for too long? The answer to that question might not just decide whether Durk beats this case, it might decide if he even lives long enough to hear the verdict. That's how dangerous the road ahead looks. See, this was never just about business, territory, or even respect in the normal sense. It was about love, grief, and the kind of loyalty that makes people burn down their own futures. When Vaughn got killed, OTF didn't just lose an artist. They lost a brother, a protege, and the one man who stamped Durk with that untouchable street credibility all at once. And that's where things get deeper. Durk wasn't only grieving. He was trying to live up to Vaughn's legacy, chasing after the image of everything Vaughn embodied that Durk's fame had pulled him away from. Vaughn was the raw street energy, the unfiltered authenticity, the ruthless edge that Durk could never quite replicate on his own. And when Vaughn died, Durk allegedly tried to prove to the streets that he could be just as cold, just as fearless, and just as willing to put bodies down for his people. But here's the cruel truth. The streets don't honor billboard plaques, Grammy nods, or sold-out tours. They only honor blood. And when the debt collectors come calling, nothing else matters. And even from the grave, Vaughn's shadow allegedly shaped every move Durk made.
Like, out of that's the only thing I was surprised at with this Durk situation, Vlad. Like, when they brought up the five guys on the screen, I didn't think Diddy would be there with him, because that's Durk's friend. So I definitely didn't think he was going to be there. But I thought it would be like some people we seeing in these videos waving guns around and jumping around like monkeys. It wasn't none of them. All KFC workers, man, the janitors and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went to the space station to go and get the guy with the glasses and shit. Like, I'm disappointed in
pushing him into choices that now threaten to wipe out not just his freedom, but the very people who loved him most. The pressure to get revenge, to prove loyalty, to show the world OTF never takes disrespect lying down, allegedly pushed Durk into choices his fame and success should have shielded him from. And here's where things get even more revealing. Look at who he allegedly trusted to handle this mission. Instead of sending out hardened street vets who knew how to move quiet and leave no trail, prosecutors claim Durk leaned on loyalty over experience. He allegedly chose soldiers who loved him, but weren't built for that level of heat. Cats, who left paper trails, swiped cards, made rookie mistakes. And those mistakes gave the feds a map straight back to Durk's doorstep. That detail flips the whole narrative, showing how his loyalty might have been his downfall. And that's where the predator versus prey question gets complicated. On one hand, he looks like a straight-up predator, allegedly orchestrating violence across state lines, coordinating multiple shooters, and using his own business empire to bankroll hits. That profile screams calculated boss moves, the type of mastermind the feds dream about catching. But on the other hand, he's now trapped inside the federal system, facing life, surrounded by ops from every direction, and relying on the same loyal people who could save themselves tomorrow by flipping on him. In that sense, Durk's become the ultimate prey, hunted in a game where survival is the only prize and betrayal is the only guarantee. The real tragedy? None of this had to happen. Durk had the money, the fame, the power to walk away from the streets forever. But in trying to prove his loyalty and live up to a legacy, he allegedly stepped right into the kind of deadly trap that even his success couldn't save him from. Durk had managed to escape the very streets that buried so many of his friends and family. He built a life most people from his background couldn't even dream of. Grammy wins, platinum plaques, booming businesses, and enough money to never touch another illegal hustle again. He had it all. But when Vaughn got killed, all of that success allegedly took a back seat. Durk became obsessed with proving he was still that same loyal, dangerous figure who made it out of Inglewood's darkest corners. And in trying to honor his brother's memory, prosecutors say he walked straight into a federal trap that could snatch away everything he fought to build. This case isn't just another rapper catching charges. It's a brutal reminder that the streets never truly let you go. Loyalty can turn into a life sentence. And the same authenticity that fuels drill music can end up destroying the very artists who live it. The harder you try to keep it real, the closer you might be to losing it all. Whether Durk beats this case or ends up spending the rest of his life in a federal cell, his story will be remembered as a cautionary tale. In this world, keeping it real doesn't guarantee respect. It can guarantee chains, bars, and heartbreak. And at the end of the day, the predator versus prey label might not even matter. Because in the ecosystem Durk helped build, everyone is both hunter and hunted. The music plays, the lights flash, but when the beat cuts off, it's only the smartest, luckiest, or most ruthless who survive to tell the story. And in Lil Durk's saga, those roles shift depending on the moment, the pressure, and who flips first when loyalty gets tested the hardest. Thanks for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaking up hip-hop culture. See you in the next one.